Hey guys, I'm Brianna, welcome back to my channel. So I'm sorry in advance for it being messy, like my bookshelf, and I'm going back to college tomorrow, so I wanted to just film this really quick for you guys, but I have all my stuff right here, the bag's in the corner, it's just like all my stuff is packed. So I'm doing my winter break, what I read, so my wrap up. I read a ton of books. I read 18, if I counted correctly, I read 18. And I'm very proud of that, especially since winter break was about a month and I didn't really start reading until a little bit after Christmas time when I started reading. So I wanted to show you the books that I read. I read 8 Kindle books and then the rest, so 10, if I counted correctly, 10 physical copies. So I'm going to show you my Kindle books actually on my Kindle because, you know, why not? My Kindle, is very old, so it's going to take a little bit to show, but I figured I would show you guys what I read. So first, we have Gunslinger by Lindsay Lang Blakeney. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is a football romance, if you can't tell with the pads on him. This is a, I guess, adult romance. I forget what some of these plots are about. I just kind of read them because I was in a book slump. I gave this a 3 out of 5. I really did enjoy it. It had a good plot. It had good substance in the book, but it was just an average read for me. I should do a video on what I rate books so you guys know what I'm rating these books and why I rate them, but maybe that will be a later in the semester thing. So then the next book I read was Jock Rule by Sarah Nye. This is book 2 in the Jock something series. Sarah Nye also has a wrestling series which I read and loved, and book 5 she just announced. I thought the series was over, but apparently there's gonna be another book, so I'm very excited for that. This is her other series, which is I thought it was gonna be about baseball players, but it's not. So I think she's kind of exploring all the different houses. So basically in this series, so the first one, or the novella, was about a baseball player. I think the first one was about a baseball player as well, and this second book is about a rugby player, so they kind of go to the different houses or whatever. But I gave this book a 5 out of 5. I absolutely loved it. I absolutely love the first book as well. This series is probably gonna be my new favorite sports romance. This one was just released pretty recently actually, but Sarah Nye's writing is amazing, and this one was great. It follows Kip, who is actually really wealthy. His parents are wealthy, and he ends up growing a really long beard, and he grows his hair really long because he doesn't want girls to be attracted to him because he feels like it's just for his money. So if he kind of looks like a Yeti, like Sasquatch, because that's what they call him, if he looks like that, then the girls won't be attracted to him. It will just be if a girl likes him for his personality. And then I forgot the girl's name in this book. I can't think of it on the top of my head, but she's a pushover, and she doesn't realize she is until Kip kind of brings it up at a party, because he was like, listen, I've watched you stand there in the corner and you let people push you around, and if a guy's talking to you and your friends comes up, they'll steal the guy that you're talking to, type of deal. So he kind of sets to help her with this whole thing, but it turned into a romance. But I loved this book. It was really, really good. It was just great. I love Sarah Nye's writing, but definitely check it out. So then the next book I have, I'm only gonna show you, actually no, the next book I have is just a regular series. But I think, honestly, getting down to the wire, this one may be one of my favorite football romances of all time. If you guys don't know, or you're new to this channel, I really love sports romances. That's one of the main genres I love besides fantasy or historical. But this sports romance I discovered 2 years ago, I think. 2 years ago, and I absolutely loved it. And this is The Rivalry by Nikki Sloan. This one actually is about the rivalry between University of Michigan and Ohio State. They don't like each other. They've never liked each other, and it's college football, so it's a huge thing. So he is a University of Michigan football player, and she's an Ohio State cheerleader, but she was born and bred Ohio State. Her dad was the coach, her mom married into it, and a whole big thing. So they meet at their mutual friend's wedding, and then they don't know until later that there's the rivalry and everything. She has a huge issue with it, but he doesn't. So I think it's really just an interesting read, and I loved it. It's a decently long book, and I gave this a 5 out of 5. This again was a reread for me because I've read this a while ago, but now that I'm in college, I kind of appreciate it a little bit more because I know more about rivalries and stuff, but this was such a great novel, and I definitely recommend it if you want a college football romance. And then we have, so the two main sports romances I read are football and hockey. Those are the two ones. So this one, I'm only going to show you the first cover, but I read Pucked Over, which is book 3, and then I read Forever Pucked, which is book 4. I gave both of them 4s out of 5. I really love this. This one follows Randy Ballistic's story and Lily. I think her name's Lily. It follows Randy and Lily. And the 4th book is an Alex and Violet book, and it's about their wedding. But I really love this. I love Randy as a character. I think he is probably one of my favorite. He's very misunderstood, and you don't really know why, but I really liked him as a character, and I loved Lily. So I just like these books, and these are professional hockey players. They are not college hockey players. So this is by Helena Hunting. If you are interested in a hockey romance, start this. If not, start Elle Kennedy's off-campus series. But these are both definitely probably my favorite hockey romances that are up there. So those are 2 books that I read. And then I read, if I can pull it up, I'll show you the first one, but I read 3 books in this series. The first one is Sacked, the second one is Jock Blocked, and the third one is Downed. I didn't read the 4th one because I kind of got bored halfway through, and I've read them before, but this was just like a reread, and I wanted something just quick and easy because I didn't think there were any other football or sports romances out there yet. So Sacked, all of them I gave 4 out of 5, but Sacked follows, who does Sacked follow? Knox, and I forgot who else, but Sacked follows Knox, who is a defensive end, I believe. And then Jock Blocked follows, why can't I remember? I forgot who Jock Blocked follows. And then Downed follows Ace, who is the quarterback. But I love these books. Basically, the plot kind of continues in each book, but these are just great, solid football reads. These are by Jen Frederick. I don't know if I recommended them, but I just have them on Kindle because it's easier for me. And then I'll show you guys like the books that I just bought that I'm planning to read, but they'll be small. So the one I'm currently reading right now is called I Bet You by Isla Matamoros. It's this one in the corner. I'll bring it close to you guys. It's that one. I read I Dare You, which is the first book, and I hyped it up too much for myself, and I didn't really like it, so I thought I would try this. I've had a hate-love relationship with Isla Matamoros books, so I figured I would try it. It's not really connected to any way to I Dare You, so if I don't like it, I don't like it. And then I bought Beauty and the Blitz by Saucy Frost. I don't know how to pronounce that. That's another football romance. Probably going to read that soon. Score on Me, a Renegades novel, which is by Melody something. That one's also a football romance. And then I have A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. I have yet to read that, so I would like to read it soon. And then I also have The Player by Claire Contrast, which is a soccer romance, and The Wrong Game by Candy Steiner on here. Those are the books that I haven't read yet that I have on my Kindle, which I'm hoping I'll get through soon, so we'll see. So now onto the physical copy of books I've read. So I was reading Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, and I was really loving it. I got super far into it, but I have to return it to the library. But I kind of DNF'd it because I figured I would know what would happen, and it was a decent read. It wasn't as scary as some people made it out to be. It was pretty good. This is basically about a voyage. This company basically does, it's like an Animal Planet where they try and make it seem like mystical creatures are real. So they end up sending a ship out and to find mermaids, and the ship does find mermaids, and everyone is killed on the ship. No one survived. So then when the television company, it's a couple years later, so they decide to build a ship and send out another voyage with a whole bunch of scientists to figure out what the mermaids are doing, if they are real, and try and get evidence and prove that these people's deaths weren't in vain. So they were going out and they discovered mermaids, and it was a whole big thing. But I don't know, it just wasn't like that gripping for me. If I did finish it, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5 because it was decent, but yeah. Then I read Tower of Dawn. I just didn't want to pull it out. That's by Sarah J. Maas. This is a reread. I gave it a 5 out of 5. And then I also read Kingdom of Ash. So I really, really love this book. I have a lot to say. This is the last book of the Throne of Glass series, so it's definitely hard to see these characters go. It was hard to see Rhysand and Feyre go, and it was only a trilogy. But this book was really good. The one thing I had, which I feel like I talked about in my other video, but the one problem I did have is I wish there were more deaths, which is bad because you never want that to happen. But I felt like it was anticlimactic, the battle. Not a lot of people died, and if they got injured, they survived. It would have definitely been heartbreaking if they did die, but that's the one thing Sarah J. Maas I think has to work on is killing people off. Because even though it'll make me really upset, like, it makes the plot, like, really interesting. But I really did enjoy this book a lot, and it came to a really good conclusion. When I first started this series, the first Throne of Glass book is completely different from the rest of the series, so my one issue with the series is I wish it would have continued that direction, or would have started off the bat with some of the magic and stuff, so... But yeah, I love this book. I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5. And then I finally read, after getting this in August, The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I give this a 4 out of 5, and the reasoning for that is... Oh, I forgot to put a book... Oh, whatever, it's fine. The reasoning for that is... It was good. For me, it was a very slow start. This is like everyone's favorite book by her, and I just don't see it. This really wasn't my favorite book. I did enjoy it. It was really good. I love the relationship. Basically what happens is he's from Canada, and he basically marries she technically was his personal assistant. So she basically quits, and then a couple months later he goes to her and basically like kind of propositions her and is like, can you marry me so I stay in the country, like I know you, blah blah blah. And then he kind of opens up and it's a whole big thing and they fall in love, but it just wasn't like as good as I thought it would be, which depressed me because I expected it to be a lot better, and it's football romance. But I still love Mariana's writing and I still gave it a 4, but this was not as good as Colty. Colty for me is like the one to beat. I also read Unchained by Jennifer Armentrout. It's currently up there, and I don't want to stand up and get it, and it's a whole big thing. But that is a fantasy by her. I guess it's more of an adult fantasy. It reminds me of her Wicked trilogy with the fairies, but that one is about demons, fallen angels, and Nephilim. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really wish she continued it as a series because it says it's book 1, but I don't think she's ever going to get back to it and write it since she has so many new works coming out. But I really did enjoy it, and I've been trying to read all her books that she's written and collect them because she's one of my favorite authors besides Tilly Cole, so I really enjoyed that. The next book I read was Intercepted by Alexa Barton. This is a football romance. This is NFL, and I gave this a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. I really did enjoy it. I can't wait for the second book, but it was okay. I did have some issues with it. I felt like it could have been more gripping, or it could have had more football involved with it, but some of these things were very... like, I knew they were going to happen, if that makes sense. They were very predictable. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I liked that you can kind of see the inside of the NFL and kind of see the wives of the players and all that, because the author of this is married to a former NFL player, so I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, this book was really good. It's pretty short. It's like a decently sized book, and I definitely recommend it. Then I read Balance by Lucia Franco, and I finally gave it a rating, guys. I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5. So my reasoning for this is I really did enjoy this book, and I don't have any, like, problems whatsoever. There's just a couple things in here towards the end of the book that I felt were kind of thrown in and were very sloppy. I did not like Kova as a character that much, and some of the scenes, like, with him and Adriana were very, like, they were weird. like how they were written, I don't think she personally does a good job with those scenes, if you know what I'm talking about. But they were just like awkward, and I'm like, that like wouldn't happen. So it kind of like pushed me away from that. But other than that, I really like the gymnastics aspect. I don't really know too much about the sport, but I thought from what I know, it's pretty much on point. It just was a solid sports romance because the sports was heavily in it. Adriana's character, I loved her in the beginning. I loved her in the middle. The ending, she was a little bit rough. That was my one issue, but I do have a whole review up down in my Goodreads to kind of explain why I gave it a 3.5, because I've been raving that everyone should read this book. So definitely go check it out about why I gave it a 3.5. And then I also read Execution by Lucia Franco, if I can pick it up. This is book 2 in the 4-book series. This is the Off Balance series, I think. I love this book so much better than book 1. I gave this a 4 out of 5, and this book definitely progresses both the characters. I did like Kova a little bit better. Again, at the ending I feel like she struggles with a little bit because she does leave cliffhangers, but I don't know, it just wasn't, I don't know, it just was weird, the ending. But Adriana definitely developed, like, so much in this book. Like, she aged, like, a year, but there was so much development with her character, and I love that so much. I love that we got to see competitions this time, and it was just a lot of involvement in this book, and it was really, really, it was a solid read. I'm still not a huge fan of Kova. Like, I do like him, but how he speaks, like, I just don't like. Like, I feel like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, like, his character irks me because he talks weird. And it's not because he's Russian or anything. It's just, like, how she makes him talk as a male character. I don't find it good, if that makes sense. But I really did enjoy this, and I cannot wait for book 3 and 4. Book 3 was supposed to be released in September, but it was pushed back, so hopefully it'll be released soon. Then I read Kiss Collector by Wendy Higgins. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. This book, actually, when I was reading it, it really, like, spoke to me. Personally, like, I was going through some issues that the main character was going through as well, so I felt, like, so hard for this book because literally it was me. Like, I was reading about me, and I was like, holy moly, like, this is crazy. I have an eyelash in my eyebrow. But yeah, so basically what happens is this girl ends up finding out she was being cheated on by her boyfriend, and she kind of is like, screw boys, like, I'm just gonna kiss boys, and that's it. Like, I'm just gonna tell them straight up, like, that it was just a kiss, like, that's it. And all these boys are, like, wanting more or whatever, but she kind of takes control of her life, and it's, like, a whole big thing. And I really did love this book because it was me. Like, that was me, because I had similar things happen, so I thought it was really well done. I love Wendy Higgins so much. I was gonna reread her Sweet Evil series, but I didn't have time because there were so many other books I wanted to get to, but this summer I probably will. But Wendy Higgins is an author you want to check out. She is not really that well known, but she does YA really well. So yeah, I love this book, and I hope you guys love it too. And then I read Misadventures on the Rebound by Lauren Rowe, and this is me as well. This book was definitely me. I loved it so much. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, so almost a 5. There's, I think, oh yeah, overall, a lot of my ratings were really high, and I was very happy with that. But yeah, so this book follows a girl who finds out her boyfriend was cheating on her, and she kind of is like, screw it, I'm gonna go to my 5-year high school reunion in Vegas. So she lives in California at the time. She also loses her job, so she stops along the way, and then she ends up meeting this guy at a bar, and they kind of like have a connection. So whatever, they explore the connection, and then he's going to Vegas too, so they carpool to Vegas, and it's like a whole big thing. Like, his dad's in debt, so he's trying to get a whole bunch of stuff, and I don't know, it was just a really, really good read, and I'm so happy I bought it, and I definitely recommend it to you guys. And then the last book I read is The X Effect by Carlos Sorensen. I was gonna wait to bring this to college, but I was like, I want to read a football romance, so I did. Overall, I liked it, but it wasn't as good as the first one. The first one was a lot better. This I gave it 3.5 out of 5. It was pretty a solid average. I had issues with it because, I mean, they knew each other in the past, but I felt like the relationship was just too quick. And I feel like, I don't know, it just wasn't as accurate. And then obviously the next book is going to be about another character in here. And if it's not, I will be very upset. So I'm hoping it is. There's a whole big thing with Logan in here, Logan Ward. But I really did enjoy this book overall. It was a pretty decent read, but the first book, again, was a lot better. So, yeah. So that's all the books I read over winter break. I'm very happy with the amount. I read 18 books, if I counted correctly. And I'm hoping to continue reading in college, but I do have a couple pretty hard courses this semester, and I have to do a lot of stuff like after my classes. I have to travel because it's like an off-campus thing. I don't know. It's a weird thing. But yeah, so if I don't film anything, I'll be back to film probably in May. So it depends. If I'm on a hiatus, I'm on a hiatus. But if not, then we'll be good. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And tell me, I guess, like your favorite thing you did over your winter break. Bye, guys.